Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hand Me Down Podcast. We're your hosts. My name's Natalia.
And I'm Alan.
And we are super, super excited to be joined by a very special guest today, Christina Nieves.
Hi.
Yeah, everybody, let's give it up.
I'm clapping.
We're clapping. Woo! There we go. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in every week. And we're super excited for you guys to listen to this episode because we have a wonderful guest and we're going to talk about wonderful things and things that are very important to all of us.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce our guest, Christina, here. So Christina is a Los Angeles-based screenwriter and actor focused on women, Latina, and LGBTQ plus driven content. Her writing credits include HBO Max's Generation and Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies for Paramount Plus, as well as support staff on Freeform's Motherland, Fort Salem, and Vida for Stars. She has developed projects with Showtime, Paramount Plus, NBC Universal, Lionsgate, and Working Title. She was a 2019 National Hispanic Media Coalition TV Fellow, co-sponsored by ABC and NBC, and a 2021 Ojalá Ignition Lab finalist. Christina holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting from DePaul University and a Master of Fine Arts in TV and Screenwriting from Stevens College. Her acting credits include Iron Fist on Netflix, Difficult People on Hulu, Wisdom of the Crowd on CBS, Bull on CBS, and dozens of plays in regional theaters across the country. She's a proud member of SAG-AFTRA, Actors Equity Association, and the Writers Guild of America. So once again, let's welcome this guest, Christina Nieves.
Thank you. Thanks for reading all that.
No, of course.
What a lineup.
Right? And we're so excited to talk to you today. That's amazing. Some amazing accomplishments there. But yes, super excited. And so we get into our episode just asking, how are you doing?
I'm happy. I'm happy to be with y'all. I'm honored to be included on your awesome show. I feel like I'm in a woo-woo place right now, tapped into the planets, the vibes, you know what I mean? I feel like January was like wonky as it always is.
Yeah.
And then February is like a warming into the year. So I feel like I'm warming up to 2024.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, where it's like, you always, every year, have this fantasy that January is going to be like, and we're off. And it never fucking is. Can I curse on this?
Oh, of course.
Okay. It never fucking is, and then you're like, fuck, it's not, wait, I thought it was going to be resolutions, and,
Yeah.
So every year. And then this January, I got COVID for the first time.
Wow.
So I was going through it. So yeah, I feel like this is the beginning of my year.
There
now,
we go.
You know?
It was a trial error. The
Correct.
trial period.
January never counts.
Never counts.
I'm sorry.
No.
It went by so fast this year. I think I had those same hopes and I was like, oh, it's already February.
That is so funny. I always feel like January is like the never ending month. It's like, it's still January.
You know what? I'm going to contradict myself. I agree.
Lying again.
Yeah, right. There's a trend, viewers, about Alan, okay? No, it's true. Like, I don't know. February's always weird. So yeah, I'm happy that it's February. I always enjoy, I don't know, I'm a Valentine's Day girl. So I loved Valentine's Day, and my anniversary just passed as well. So like February's like a cute month for me.
There we go.
It's a month of love.
It's a month of love.
And good things. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yes,
Great
it's
to
so
hear that.
exciting. Yeah, I feel like same January was like, there was like this trend going around where people were talking about ins and outs of the years, or like something's in, this is out. And I feel like we came up with the list and we were like, this is our ins, this is our out. January 2nd, I was like, I was like, oopsie.
JK.
I was like, about that
LOL.
out, actually in. I actually am changing my mind right now.
I should have plastered that on my bedroom because I totally forgot we did that.
Oh my God.
We wrote it on like an iPad, and we had the iPad hooked onto the TV so
It
everybody
was New
could
Year's
see
Eve.
it.
Yeah, we were like,
Adorable.
We were just like, guys, we're gonna do it. And then
No.
we just didn't take a picture of the screen. We didn't write notes.
No. I think it's better that way.
Right.
Just, throw it. That's what I always am, like a little bit of a ritually type person for like New Year's Eve. And I this year tried something new where I did like 12 wishes from like Yule through, I think it was like January 1st or 2nd. But you burn the wish, like one wish on every day you burn it. So like I don't know. I just sent it out there. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I'm trusting the universe will take care of
There we
it.
go.
10
So
more
you wrote it
months.
on your iPad, and then it just is in the cloud somewhere, and it will happen.
Yeah. It's a digital promise that we made.
I live for that. A digital promise.
Digital promise.
There we go. But Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm also fantastic.
Yes, there we go.
I had a pretty good weekend. I don't remember what I did Friday, but yesterday, I do remember what I did yesterday, and it was very fun. One of our friends came up from San Diego. No,
Yeah.
came up
From
from San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Geography, not my strongest suit,
Same. How many creatives does it take?
to figure out where San Diego is.
But it was fun. She came for the whole day, and we kind of just spent the whole day together.
Nice.
We had breakfast. We bought a football, and we went to the park to play football.
Adorable.
We want to go
Connecting.
touch grass, literally. Like, let's go touch some grass, guys.
It was fun.
So yeah, it was really fun yesterday
Ooh.
in our sports era.
Yes. I'm in my sports era too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am.
Ever since the 49ers lost, Natalia's like,
Oh my God.
it's on her shoulders now. She's gotta do
I
it.
am the next Brock Purdy.
There you go. I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe in you, to be
I
honest.
don't know how to hike a football, but I have a dream. And
That's all you need.
I have a dream and have drive. And then I'll get
That's
there.
all you need. That's all you need for the
NFL, I'm coming for you. Career change. Okay.
How are you, Natalia?
Pretty good as well. Still riding that high of yesterday of like everybody getting together and stuff like that. So it was really sweet. And it was like a nice gentle reminder of like literally going outside to touch grass. I'm like, girl, that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Really helpful to like reset my emotions and the things that I was feeling. So I was like, yeah. So super excited to be here today.
Yes.
Woo. All right.
Let's introduce this again.
Oh yeah.
We've been doing this for a couple of episodes, but for the people who don't know or just tuning in, we have 4 sound effects on this little device in front of us, and throughout random moments in the episode, we're gonna hit one of the buttons. We don't know what the sounds are. Our lovely associate producer Milena put random sounds on here. And yeah, it's always funny because sometimes we're having like a serious conversation and we're just like, let's hit one of them. And it's like something completely different from what we're feeling. So it's fun.
Yeah, and it's also like a game of memory too, because then maybe another conversation comes up where like, oh, that sound effect that we hit, let's hit it. And then like you hit a button, you're like, wait, that wasn't the right button. So it's just kind of like to add a little bit of chaos, because
like
who doesn't like a little bit of chaos?
I like it.
Awesome. All right, so we'll definitely find opportunities throughout the episode.
I'm fiending for it already.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's start talking.
Right?
Itchy
And
fingers.
also, whenever you feel too, if you're just like,
Oh
let's hit a
shit!
button.
Don't tell a Sagittarius that.
A sign reveal? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I was like Sagittarius. I'm a Taurus.
Okay, Taurus is my north node, so I must learn from you. Yeah, that's what I'm meant to be in my destiny, I
my
believe.
gosh.
More Taurian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm a Gemini, so I guess the lies
Work. Honestly, it tracks, Alan. It
All the
tracks.
lies.
All the lies.
You're sandwiched by chaos. Like that is what you are in the middle.
I'm just here like
the like calm like foundation of earth energy with the Bobsey twins of the zodiac on either side of you.
I think Natalia's used to it because she's one of 4 sisters.
Yeah, I have
Oh,
4.
wow.
There's 4 of us in total.
She's kind of used to.
Where are you in the?
I'm the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
middle child, but like youngest middle child.
Okay.
So I'm very middle child coded. Like
Yes.
But it works out.
yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I just have one younger brother.
Okay, so you're the
by
oldest.
1 year. Yeah,
Okay.
the
Oh,
oldest.
but that's close.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's at Berkeley right now. Shout out. if he's watching.
Hey.
Shout out. But do you have any siblings?
I have one younger brother, so I'm the oldest
Nice.
as well. Yeah, I have all the like eldest daughter isms
I was gonna say, do you fit
that
into
every think piece has ever. Yeah, I'm all of those.
eldest also like Latina daughter.
Right.
So that's even more.
Exactly.
That's a whole episode right there. Yeah.
All right, cool. So now we'll jump into getting to know you a little bit of your background. So you have a background in theater.
I do.
Correct? Yes. So we wanted to know a little bit about how you got started in that, and also you went from theater to eventually writing on the page. So we also wanted to know how your background in acting influences the way you write and create characters as a screenwriter. Because I think that really shows in your work.
Thank you. I
Definitely.
kind of think so too, which it doesn't always seem like an intuitive bridge, I guess. And for some people, I guess it isn't. But I think I realized once I started writing that all along, like I had that voice going on in my head as an actor. And it sort of got me in trouble because I could never really stay in my lane as an actor, you know, and just be the interpreter and just, you know what I mean? Like I always had those extra ideas, and that's why theater was such a great fit, because I got to do a lot of new work and you're really like in there with the whole team creating the story and the character sort of from scratch. So you are, even as an actor, doing a lot of writing.
Everybody building.
Yeah, exactly. And sort of developing it together. So, but yeah, I got into it because I was just that kid, like always theater nerd from birth, like, you know, like a ham, again, Sagittarius, like my poor parents, like always wanted to be on camera, like singing, dancing, like performer, storyteller. Like I loved books. Like they used to say I was like Belle. Like I grew up in Florida, and we would like go to Disney, and I would like have my like nose in the book, like walking around the crowd of people and just like Belle and Beauty and the Beast. And like I just always was obsessed with stories, character, but also music. I think was one of my big first loves. Like I was always obsessed with like Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul, and so yeah, I just always had like the bug for like. I think at first it was performing, but I've realized now like the layer underneath that was like stories and storytelling of like all different kinds. So I always did it growing up.
Did you feel like, I feel like when you do have that energy growing up, you kind of, the outlet for it is theater and not so much film. So I was wondering if that maybe like had an influence in you having like an early theater background and then eventually being like, you know what, maybe let's move into like film, TV.
Exactly. I think you're right. Like, and maybe it's changing now, but I think when I was a kid, I didn't even understand that those were like real jobs or like real people.
Yeah, people get paid for this.
I mean, I think the thing you can see is the actors, and I think that's the closest like point of reference, at least I had, of like the performers, the actors, like, oh, I want to, you know, like maybe do that, you know, and watching like West Side Story and being like, oh, Rita Moreno, like that, her, and not even realizing like there were people writing those stories and responsible for the narrative on this whole other level. But you're right. Like, I wonder if I would have had access to the types of programs that are out there now that introduce, you know, younger kids to filmmaking. Like, would I have, you know, been a little Steven Spielberg making films in my backyard, you know, like.
Interesting, because we talked about like you talked about not having access to like the internet and how that was a blessing, but for me it was like really something that like pushed me to like,
I bet,
get a little camera and like edit on iMovie or Movie Maker.
So that's so dope. Like I do, that's like a thing that I feel like can be a source of overthinking to let go, is like the place at which you enter that journey, you know, and people that are doing it later in their career, you know, like having envy for people like you that like are more native to the language of film and have been doing it for, you know, your whole life. You have a mini, you know, camera, you know, walking around in your back pocket. Like that's sort of newer for my generation. But you're right. Yeah. I think like theater was like that place, you know, that you did know, like like every school for the most part has like some kind of theater program, you know, and it's like where all the nerds go and all the storytellers go. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I went to like a magnet art schools and that exposed me to a lot too, because it was all the arts, you know, not just theater. And it was a magnet. So it was a really rich program of like vocal program and dance and visual art. And, so it was like nerds of many stripes, you know? Not just theater nerds, like all creative nerddom combined. And it was, it was, because it was like, I didn't have that. I don't know if that's people's normal. I've heard a lot of people say that like their high school experience, if they were into that kind of thing, they were sort of relegated to like that small pocket of that social group or whatever. But because it was a magnet school and that was like the whole school's kind of stilo, like you could be like the cool kid and the drama kid, you know what I mean? And it wasn't, it like gave this sense of like normalcy, I guess, to it, because everyone was doing something creative and like really committed to it. And so it was a good high school experience. And then I studied acting in my undergrad and that's how. So I just always was doing theater and acting, and then the writing thing came later.
Nice. So did you start acting in high school, or did you start doing that when you were doing the undergrad?
Well, my first ever play was like first grade.
Wait, me too.
What was it? What was your play?
Where the Wild Things Are. But I went to a school in Spanish, like where we spoke only Spanish, so it was Donde Viven los Monstruos. So I was one of the monsters.
Oh my God. You should have been Max, but it's fine.
Right, no, because they made both characters so a boy and a girl could play. So it was Max and Maxine, and they were siblings. And
adorable.
Like, so, yeah.
Is there evidence of this out in the world somewhere?
Oh, gosh, I'm sure there
has to be.
But
Sean Evans.
Sean Evans from
Hot Ones. They're gonna track it down.
Right, they're gonna track it down.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so
okay. First grade premiere. Yeah. Well, me too. Mine was not as cool as Where the Wild Things Are at all. It was like this like dental allegory called Tilly the Tooth.
Okay.
But obviously I was Tilly the motherfucking tooth.
There you go.
Okay.
That calls for a button.
Which button would you like to press?
Oh God. Just feel it. Feel it with your heart.
Let's see. The closest one.
Tilly the Tooth.
Tilly the Tooth.
The shade. That was shady. That was really shady. Okay. You don't know. My performance was
Is it still going? Okay.
No.
It was kind of long.
Her performance as Tilly was showstopping.
There were no
everyone.
crickets. Okay.
Personally, I think I would love Tilly the Tooth.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great person.
It was giving the girl who played Plaque, like it was the antagonist, obviously, and she was giving like Wicked Witch of the West, you know, like in the costuming. And my grandmother made me like a big like floofy like molar tooth fucking costume. It was everything. It was everything.
Is this like a Kaiser like?
I really don't know how it happened, why it happened. I just know like the bug and me, and then the rest was history. So yeah.
There we go.
Personally, I would go clubbing with Tilly the Tooth.
Right.
Tilly the Tooth sounds like
right.
a great friend.
You could lay on her. She was soft. She was very sparkly, clean. You know what I'm saying?
Important.
Floss every day.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then so my whole growing up was always like doing plays and like just constantly performing and then obviously after college is when I started doing it like for money professionally. Yeah.
Dang, that's so awesome. That's so, because I feel like I was also the same way, where like you see like tip of the iceberg in movies and stuff like that. You see the actors, but then you don't realize how much goes into like the behind the scenes, the pre-production and stuff like that, the writing, which is also what we wanted to talk to you about today.
Yes.
And then so just circling back to the question about how your background in acting influences the way that you write a character is something that I would love to hear you talk about.
Yeah, I think it's just as an actor, right? You spend so many, or I spent so many years in the seat of being the person who has to interpret and sort of think through from the character perspective, you know, everything that I'm doing is from that like micro level of this specific character. Mm-hmm. And so it really developed my ability to think through character arc and character and like just sort of like tracking that journey in a satisfying way. So I think it made it intuitive for me as a writer to really understand the shape of like, and the structure of like a satisfying character journey. And also dialogue, I think, is just something that I really like. I've learned now that it really is the icing on top of the cake of a script, even though a lot of people really fixate on dialogue. It's actually quite late in the process of a well-made thing. And it really like kind of, I don't want to say doesn't matter, but it's like kind of additional to like the necessary parts in a lot of ways of a well-made story. But I do think it's something that I'm really good at, especially like staffing on other shows. I think it's something that I can really bring and have fun with, is like getting into the voices of the specific characters and really feeling the distinctness of, you know, their point of view and their humor and their, just, I geek out on all that stuff. Cause again, as an actor, that's the kind of prep work you're doing of like character bios and what is their fear? What is their want? You know, what do they want versus what do they need? And all that stuff, like you geek out on that as an actor. So that being my like first level of training is something that like I still brought with me into my writing. And I think it just helps to have like really sound, like distinct. Yeah. And like character forward. Like I don't think I write in a plot driven way. Like my favorite stuff is like just people in a room talking. Like, you know, which I know no one really wants to see, but like,
I want to see it.
I mean, I do too. It's a stuff I love, honestly. But it's. I definitely tend more toward that kind of work, both like in my taste, but also in like what I make. I think because of that, you know, we're like,
that's one of the things that we like about Generation so much.
Right.
Which we'll get to soon because we have a whole section.
But that, I mean, that too with, I mean, should we save that conversation for when we talk about Generation? Because I'm like, wow.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean, just to say that that's one of the very first things I noticed about that show is the dialogue, or just like how natural everything felt and stuff like that. Because I feel like I studied that show a lot because I was just like, wow, this is like incredible.
Yeah, it was like, such a special show.
Yeah, it is very much a special show. And we will get further into it, into the episode. But so we'll circle back a little bit more with your... how you transitioned from being an actress to writing and do screenwriting. I know you talked about being screenwriter for specifically television and stuff like that. So we want to know a little bit how did that transition happen?
Well, I was like acting for, I want to say about 10 years, like as an adult, whatever, in my 20s, mostly theater, new work. And I think I started to kind of like hit a wall with it of just not feeling as creatively challenged or just, I think I started to feel that thing of like, I'm auditioning for all the same kind of things. And the narratives for like queer stories and Latinas just felt really narrow, or just at least what I was being given access to as an actor. And I remember there was, and then also it's just that hard thing of doing regional work, because at that time I had moved to New York, and so a lot of the work there for theater in particular is like you're being outsourced to the different other theaters in the country. And so, you know, you're doing like 12th Night in Arkansas, you're working in Oregon, like these 4-month stints everywhere, which is also exhausting. But I remember doing a play and I started to like rush home from rehearsal to like write my own thing. And I had no like hopes for it or no reason to be doing it other than like I just started to like feel an itch about it. And I found like I was like more excited to like be like in the middle of the night doing that than like at rehearsal, you know, which felt like my first little like clue. Yeah. And it had been a while since I felt that kind of like creative excitement, because I really wasn't getting that from my acting career anymore. So I just like followed it. And it was playwriting at first, like I told you, because that's kind of what my reference point was. And so I wrote my first like full length play, and it was called The Only One, and it kind of was like loosely based on the story of it's not, but kind of a seed of it is my mother and I. And my mother's gay and I'm gay, and like we sort of came out at the same time. And so it's kind of a little bit about that. And it got like good. I mean, it didn't like, no one ever fucking produced it, but like people in my life were like, this is something like, keep going. Like we're, and I got a couple little development things here and there. So it just, I got enough positive reinforcement to just keep me curious about it and curious about it and curious about it, and kept writing. And then I just got a taste of like the power and autonomy that comes with being a writer as opposed to being an actor. And I was like, oh, fuck this. Like, I'm done. I don't know. Over time, it just sort of naturally transitioned where I think my interest in my acting career just kind of naturally fell away because I was just falling more and more in love with being a writer. And then I was like, but I don't want to be a broke writer, so playwriting might not be the thing. And I was lucky that I had, like, from all those years of acting, I had so many playwriting friends that had already transitioned out here to be writing in TV film. So I really kind of had a great support system and network when I moved out here of people that I had already worked with as an actor, that I could be like, hey, like, remember when I did your play for $100? Like, I'm out here now. And everyone was so kind and really like helpful, and helped me kind of get my foot in the door to just start seeing what the hell TV even is, and if I liked it. And so that's how I got my first like couple like support staff jobs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like because we're also in that stage where we're like trying to figure out how to navigate, and as well. And so it's just like nice to hear like there's no set route for like anybody.
There really isn't. There really isn't. I feel like you try to follow a recipe, and then that's like what makes you feel frustrated.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster.
Are you a writer? Are you a writer? Yeah. Exactly. A recipe for disaster. It's like you can't, like, that's that person's journey, and your journey is going to be, and it's frustrating because you want it like. People have great fucking journeys, and you're like, I want that.
Yeah, exactly. But you get so caught up in like that, like that's what I see. And
like for me, I started, those first support staff jobs of me being like, I don't know. Again, I'm Sag, I'm crazy, but I was like willing to go back to the assistant level in my like early 30s. Like my first writer's assistant job, I was, I want to say 32. And for some people, they'd be like, bitch, you grown already. Like, what are you doing? But for me, I was like, I'm into it. Like, and I've been broke for a really long time. So who fucking cares? Like, I'd be broke being a bartender or like learning about TV. That sounded like better to me. So,
exactly.
It's a great mentality to have.
Yeah. It did pay off.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Dang, well, I'm super glad that was your journey and that you ended up like becoming a screenwriter for TV, because I think should we just move on to the generation of it all? Okay, so for listeners who don't know about the show Generation, should we break down the plot a little bit? I don't know if would you like to break down
oh
the
my
plot?
gosh. I mean, it's like one of those shows where it's impossible kind of too, but it's I would say a dramedy,
definitely,
about a group of queer high schoolers and just sort of their hopes, their dreams, their relationships, their families, and their friendships.
Yeah,
and I think it's about like so many things.
Yeah, and it's quite frankly the most beautiful show I've ever seen.
Oh, I love that show.
So it has a special place in my heart, and I guess like we'll talk about a little bit how we came about, like. How we came across Generation. I came across it during the pandemic. So I was back home in San Jose. I watched it, and then I moved out to Los Angeles, and then so we actually lived together. So that's how we were able to get so close as well. So we were living together for the first time, and we had another roommate who I had also never met before, but she I kind of knew her like through mutual connections. And so we were talking about setting up our Fire Stick on like our Amazon Fire Stick.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the different streaming services that we had. And somebody was just like, oh, I have HBO Max. And I was just like, low-key, I have beef with HBO Max because they had canceled already at that point.
I know.
And I was just like, I have beef with HBO Max because they canceled my favorite show. And it was like quiet for a bit. And then my roommate who I was just meeting, she was like, was it Generation? And I was like, it was Generation. And then so we were like, oh my God, like we were like
Yes.
bond, like that was the first, that was like the first time we like bonded.
Yes.
And he's just in the corner. He's like, what's Generation?
Yeah, I was just like, what?
And we like slowly turn our heads and we're like, we're going to sit on the couch right now. And we're going to enlighten you. We're going to show you the best piece of media ever.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I don't know if you want to talk about
yours. I also just like it was one of those shows where I was like, let's watch another episode. Let's watch another episode. And it is very special for me too, because it was like that moment of like bonding where like Natalia and I kind of knew each other, but like this was where like now we're living together. And then I didn't know our other housemate either. And then like just like we were able to build that bond with the show and just like talk about it and just like being inspired of like this is the type of stuff we want to create.
That's so
it's just
cool.
like so strong in so many different aspects.
Yeah, so like that's our lore.
Like analyzing.
I love the lore, the Generation lore.
The Generation lore, and just like, we study it all the time. Or like, we're just like, wow, this is a really strong piece. And I feel like I've gotten maybe like 20 people to watch it. Because I'm just like, this is an incredible show and people need to see it.
Yeah.
So
they owe her a check.
no, for real.
That's so funny. Pay up.
Right? I feel like that calls for a button. Let's see. They owe me a check, guys. Oh.
I hear it.
Is it sniffing?
It is gay.
It is gay. Money is very gay.
Money is so gay.
Being rich is so fucking gay.
I forgot about that audio. Well, yes, the show is gay.
Thank you, sound effects.
Thank you, sound effects, for confirming.
That's true.
But yeah, and it was just like a show that I feel like for the very first time, me personally, was the first time seeing queer joy represented on screen too, where to the point where I was a little bit standoffish when I first started watching it because I wasn't used to that kind of representation. And then like as I allowed myself to like be accepting of this type of media, I was like, this is the type of things that I want to make as well. Like, this is very good. But so we're super excited to get into talking about Generation.
It's so cool and such a gift to hear like your experience of it, because obviously like being inside has a different, you know, and like it was just such a gift at the time, like when it came out and like being so disconnected because it was the pandemic, like hearing from people all over how the show was impacting them. And I kind of feel like it was just one of those shows that was kind of ahead of its time, you know, and like probably
they didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think it will be like a cult classic, like Freaks and Geeks or something like that, you know.
Is like the community is so strong. Hi, everybody. Let's take a break from the episode to do a little bit of housekeeping. If you are listening on a podcast platform, go ahead and give us a review and a rating. We would appreciate it so very much. If you are listening on YouTube or if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out in the algorithm. And if you don't do any of that, we post the best clips on our social media on TikTok and Instagram at HandMeDownPod. So give us a follow there. If you miss an episode, don't sweat it. You can catch all the best clips on our social media. Again, that is at HandMeDownPod. And we also have a Discord where we can chat. So join that as well. Ooh. And the Lotero Man's here, which means let's get back to the episode.
So and so much of it is just a testament to like the people who made it and just like everything you said that you felt were things they pointed out day one in the writer's room of like, these are tenets of this show. Like, whether it's queer joy, whether it's like, we had this saying called like Inside Out, where it was like, because one of the creators is Zelda Barnes, who was 18 at the time, and having someone that age, you know, leading us and being the firsthand account of what it was to be in high school in this moment, you know, it was like allowed us to always be inside. and they wanted the show to feel like that. Like you're inside that experience, not adults writing from the outside trying to get in, but like really being inside that experience and never trying to do something like, some shows that are like YA or like high school shows, but you can tell it's like, these are adults trying to prove a point about this experience, from that vantage point of been there, done that. And here's what we learned, versus like being in the shoes really of these characters that are, experiencing all of this for the first time and letting those small like moments of high school feel as big as they do. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when you have that like first text exchange or whatever, like small shit, it's like it feels so big. Like
everything's so serious.
To
you. And like that's I think what it does really well too.
That we talked a lot about that in the writer's room of like the high stakes. Like high stakes don't always have to come from like such a big explosive like plot driven place. Like because if they're like emotionally rooted like in your reality, like me like tipping this over could be high stakes for me, given who I am and what our relationships are. What, you know what I mean? Like anything can feel super important, especially when you're like a ragey, like puberty filled, like high schooler, So yeah, it was like really such a huge gift, that show. And like, I learned so much. So much.
Yeah. I feel like I also learned so much too of also just like the type of creator I wanted to be or like the type of stories that I wanted to tell as well. So like major shout out to y'all that were writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the Daniel Barnes, Ben Barnes, Zelda Barnes, Shar White, the other showrunner, like, and that whole team. Yeah, shout out to all of them, like, and all the writers. Like, I don't know, I feel so lucky because that was my first job that I got staffed on, and to have that experience of like, I don't know, where everyone, I think for the most part was, I don't want to speak out of turn, but the majority of the room was queer. I think everyone, with the exception of maybe one person. And he was like like we would joke, like he was like our queer token, our straight token. Like, I think this is a little too maybe inside baseball I think we lost. I just want to tell you, I'm lost. It's okay. If you want, it's okay. So that was like a cool thing too, to be able to see so early in my career that a team like that can exist, that you really can make something at that level with that kind of inclusivity and like the level of conversations we could have, like because of that, because there wasn't a lot of like 101 explaining to each other what these experiences were. I guess
that part
that
I feel like I've thought about that so much, but I was not put into words until right now, just like having to explain to other people, like, I wrote it like this because this is how I see it based on my intersectional identities, like queer, Latina, and like woman, and like that's crazy.
And you know why I think that the show is so special to me is I don't identify as queer, so it was really a window into like better understanding you and our other housemate, and like feeling like so like that you were able to share this with me. I was like, oh, like, thank you. Like, it like really like helped. I think that's why it like means so much. It's like building that like connection for all of us.
I love that.
I like saw myself in so many of those characters, like, because I was like, when I watched it, I was maybe like 19, I think. Okay. So I was like kind of close to the age of the characters. And so I was just like, I feel like I could relate to so many of these different characters. And so I feel like also me showing it to so many people was also me kind of like, that was how I was able to express myself to people. And I was just like, do you see how this situation played out? I lived that. And my life. Right? I was like, that is so me. Like the whole like Riley and Greta thing. I was like, that is so me.
Girl.
Jesus Christ.
Stressed.
Dude, no. It's like, oh my God. Oh
that
God,
is so funny.
So close
I know. We all, and that's a beautiful thing that I love about writing for TV is like, that sometimes also makes me uncomfortable about writing for TV, or it's been a beautiful challenge for me. area to strengthen is like your capacity to be vulnerable with other people and tell those stories because they end up on the show a lot of times, you know, and it's like, you know, people were so generous in that room of talking about their high school experiences, their heartbreaks, their first, you know, their first so many things. And like a lot of it ended up on the show, which I think is also like why it feels so real. Cause it's like people's like taken from, you know,
definitely
people's real, you know, whether the details have changed or whatever, but they're real emotional experiences and like those first love experiences and stuff. So,
and it definitely pays off because we talk about that on the show of like being, when we're writing our stuff, like how scary it is to be vulnerable because you're just like, oh wow, like I'm being so real right now.
It is.
But then there's a payoff in that. A lot of people do relate to it and they're just like really attached to these characters and they feel seen. And I feel like that's kind of like what I want to do with my work is like make sure that other people also feel seen as well and stuff like that. So that's why I love Generation so much.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love it professionally. It was the beginning of my journey in a lot of ways, or like the next step up. So it's special to me for that reason, and the relationships I formed. But then also, just getting to be a small part of something that like so many people feel so passionate about and love. It's you don't always get, you know, sometimes as a TV writer, you are a bit of a hired gun, you know. I've been lucky that everything I've written for and worked on, I genuinely believed in it and I genuinely enjoyed it and could like genuinely be passionate. But I think for a lot of people, and who knows, like maybe my next job, I'll be like, I'm clocking in, I'm clocking out. Like, you know what I mean? I'm getting this check, you know? Because I don't think every gig is going to be like in your heart, you know? So I feel really lucky that Generation and all the shows I've worked on so far, like I could genuinely be like, I'm so proud of this, you know? And I really can stand behind it and say it's aligned with the kind of stuff that I want to be a part of, you know, which is kind of rare.
Yeah, but that's why we're so excited for that show was able to exist for people to work on it, that everybody just seems so passionate about it and stuff like that.
They were. So. It was like a labor of love kind of project where I think everybody knew it was like something special.
Yeah, I mean, we met one of the actresses.
We did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Chase Who Wonders.
Yes.
We went to a screening of Bodies. And she was there. And we walked up. We're just like, after, we're like, we love Generation.
And she was just like, oh my God.
That is,
she said the same thing that like everybody liked.
Yeah, top to bottom. And like that was another cool part about it too, like the cast and like having so many of them, like Chase was, I think one of the, and Justice were probably two of the more established, you know, had booked some big things, but a lot of them were, you know, unknown or was their first big job. And that also creates an energy, I think, of just gratitude and everybody's willingness to learn together. And like that's kind of rare too. Which I think was cool because that's how I felt, because it was like my first job and it was kind of like their first job, and so we were all like, nobody knows anything. It's amazing.
That's the vibe you need.
It is. And I feel like I want to always have that in a way, you know, the more that I learn, but still have that spirit of like beginner's mind and like maybe I don't know anything in a way, like know what you know and have confidence in that, but at the same time be open to like throw that out at any point.
It's a good balance.
Definitely. Yeah. To just be open to like receiving so much knowledge from like every project that you do. So continuing with our conversation about Generation, what I love about the show also is the ensemble cast. And how many characters there were and how many they were so rich and complex in their own ways, and it was genius. So I just wanted to know what it was like writing for a show with that many characters.
I mean, it was dope. Like for me, like I was saying, because that's how I like to write. Like I loved it, you know, because it's like, and also being a Sag, like mutable energy. It's like, like you get to like, you never get bored, you know, because you're just in the brain of all of these different characters. But again, it's, when we got there day one, like the pilot had already been written and they had this amazing, you know, Bible for the series and all of these references. So we really just got to like jump into a world that the Barneses had already developed so deeply that, you know, it made it a lot easier. But, and then too, I think on a lot of shows, like, you naturally gravitate to certain characters, and in the collaborative team of it all, like there's certain characters that they know, like, oh, Christina really knows this voice, you know.
Who were they?
Well, obviously, you know, I feel like it was Greta, it was Anna, you know, and I personally feel like it was Chester. Like, obviously, like he was such a fun character to write, and I think all of us probably, you know, like had so much fun writing for him. I mean, all of them really. Like, I feel like Nathan and his sister were like so random and special. Like, I probably never got it as like, you know, precise as like the Barnes's voice like is. But like all of them were just so fun. Like Ariana was so fun. Lukita's character, whose name is leaving me right now, but Delilah, thank you. Like they all were just like, you could like take big swings, you know, because it was like fun. And then when it got real, like the show allowed you to like do that too. And I think, I don't know, different bosses are different, but on that show, like our showrunners were really generous about like letting us like be free when we were in draft and like kind of go for it. And then like, it was very collaborative, you know, where I feel like on some other shows, it's more like, write this specific thing. And, or like there isn't as much like fluidity, I guess, or like back and forth where like we would really like do a draft and then give it over and then give it back. And then like, I don't know. So, but yeah, I do feel like obviously, you know, as the Latina in the room, like it organically became that I felt such a closeness with that whole story and her character and that family. It just felt really protective of it in a good way of like wanting to shepherd it as best as I could and make sure that it was done well. Which is a like big honor. Yeah,
and I mean, also naturally, I
gravitated
towards Greta and Anna. I feel like because I also went into the show kind of blind, I didn't know what it was about, and so as I was watching it, I was just like, okay, slay, Latina character, just like Latina sapphic character. I was like, wait a second.
I know.
Oh my gosh. And just like aesthetically as well, like she looks like so many people I grew up with and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes. Yes, I know. That's another incredible actress. Like everything she brought to the character. It was
so
like
subtle, so
and like just any like, oh man, like effortlessly heartbreaking, like just an open-hearted actress. Like, oh, she was so amazing.
So amazing.
And Nava too, just next level.
Nava was next level too. And I feel like, yes, I did relate the most to those characters. And because I feel like I also watched it very recently after I had come out to my family and stuff like that. So it was I was very much in like a transition phase where just kind of like, I mean, I don't know if this is the correct way to look at it, but like leaving behind everything I thought I was kind of type of scenario. And so I was just like, I saw a lot of myself in Greta, but I also saw a lot of who I wanted to become in Anna. And just like being like that person that she was to, especially like to Riley and like, and Greta as well. And just like being that, support system for people who may be feeling the same things that I did when I was younger, but now that I'm like older and like have gone through it, be like, hey, like, you know, you're not alone. Like I know what you're going through and stuff like that.
Yeah, and being so embodied, like that character is just so like, talk about queer joy, like just you know, one of the wisest characters on the show and just so grounded and, you know, I think one of our like not regrets, but like would the show have gone on, like that was the thing we talked a lot about, was like giving Nava even more and Anna had like, there was so much life to that character that you felt that you didn't see on the show, but like you knew, like she just felt like such a full character, and like I'm sure we would have
explored that more.
Exactly. Give her more story.
I think she was also, I mean, from like the fan perspective, she was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I mean, how could
Anna.
she not? Like, oh yeah.
Everybody was always talking about Anna, and I was like, good.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
She stole the show.
Hell yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Good. All right. So, I mean, we are talking about characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So we had a question for you. Which generation character do you relate to the most at your age now? And which would you have related to when you were in high school?
Wow. I feel like now is definitely Anna. I just feel like I'm Tia vibes at this point in my life, you know, like it's Titi Nina, like it's fine. She's here. But in high school, it's weird. Like I almost want to be like also Anna. Like, like I feel like I was that friend. Like I thought I was more grown than I was. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I was the one like trying to give advice that nobody asked for, and like you know like and like confident even when I wasn't. You know, I don't know. I think of all the characters, the most me probably is Anna in a lot of ways. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
And she stayed consistent.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but also like all of them are way cooler than it's like that's probably also why like I can't even imagine. Like they're all so cool.
Yeah,
like
I think that's
all
why
those
everybody
characters.
likes the show too. They're just like,
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, dang, that's so good.
I was never that cool. No.
Or Alan, do you have an answer?
Yeah.
Maybe you relate to when you were in high school, maybe?
in high school, let's see. I'm trying to like run down the characters.
I know.
Maybe not who I would relate to, but I think just Nathan is such an interesting.
He is. He really is.
I think he was like one of the more like maybe not living that, but like watching him experience all that was just like, and like his arc at the end, I think was one of the better arcs of just like what he has learned. And I was like, good for Nathan.
Good for Nathan.
Good for Nathan.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Cause I feel like I found some similarities between my life and what Nathan was going through as well. So I could relate to Nathan a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like I also related a lot to Riley when I was not, she was definitely way cooler than I was. Let's get that out of the way. But just like in not knowing how to express yourself and stuff, like everything that these characters did were so in character for everything. Like anytime Nathan would say something, I was like, that's a Nathan thing to say. That's a Nathan thing to say and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I was like Nathan and Riley and Greta as well.
Dope. You're like, I am a Greta sun, a Nathan moon, a Riley rising.
We create a chart.
Yeah, a generation birth chart. I love that.
Okay, well, I guess this is like, did you guys take that into account, like signs?
I feel like we did talk about it. I don't remember them now, but we definitely talked about it. I feel like that's such a LA thing. Like every show, you spend at least like 1 week arguing about like the zodiac signs of the characters. Like it's happened on every show I've been on. So we absolutely talked about that for sure. I think all I remember, I'm probably wrong. I think Chester was a Leo, but I could be wrong.
I think I remember him saying he was a Scorpio, but he kind of gave Leo. He kind of gave
come through. He does give Leo. I don't remember now, but we definitely talked a lot about it. I think it was in the Bible too that they had already decided them.
Yeah, because it's important.
It is.
It's important.
It is. It really is.
I'm like, why do you guys think we started the conversation with saying what our signs were? Alrighty, so let's see. Well, a question that I would like to know, or have you talk a little bit more about, would be also, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but writing for specifically queer Latina joy and stuff like that. And like, how were you able to bring your voice into these characters and stuff and really like emphasize the joy in these characters? Because like I said, that wasn't something that I was really used to saying and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like so much of it to me is, I don't know, I can feel hemmed in sometimes when it's like you're trying to write a queer story or a Latina story, and then it's so hard to fight against the automatic fill in the blanks that we do because there are certain narratives that are in those categories, you know, and we know kind of what goes with that for better or worse. And I think for me anyway, like sometimes almost setting myself free from that intention of queer narrative or queer joy or queer anything or Latina anything and just focus on the story or focus on the character, like gives me more freedom. And then I think in the truth of the thing, like will come joy and all the other things, you know what I mean? If I'm like focusing on the story I want to tell instead of, oh, it has to have this element and I don't want it to have this element and I don't want it to come off like this, but I need it to come off like that. And like, I think that's like more the outside in way of working, you know, and like trying to stay inside of it. And every time you start to stray away, like come back to like, what was the seed of why I wanted to make this, or what was the seed of this scene, you know, or this episode or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I try to stay out of the macro and like try not to think about the perception part. Which is hard. But like trying not to jump ahead of, at least for me, like what I want, like how I want other people to receive the thing, because like I'm not really in control of that. But like if I focus on being honest with myself of like, does this make me feel joyful? Does this make me feel whatever I wanted to invoke when I started doing it, then I hope like whoever my people are like will agree on the other side of it. But it's like I feel like a lot of my practice lately has been like being more almost true to my taste and just letting that be like the only compass. You know, you don't have that when you're working for someone else as much, but you know, then there are many other compasses you have to care about because they're your boss. but yeah.
That's interesting because I feel like our last guest said something similar about just like being true to yourself and having stories that you want to tell. And then I think just you being queer or Latina, like that, then it comes out organically into it.
Exactly. And it's like we don't live in an, I don't know if there was any time like this, but certainly now it's not an apolitical time. You know what I mean? Like every choice that we make is inherently political in our art, whether you want it to be or not. It is, you know, every time you know, cast a brown body in something, you're saying something with that, you know, and just kind of having the freedom and awareness of that, like also takes the pressure off of like needing it to be a certain kind of, because us just existing, like you're saying, in our joy is political. Us getting to have a love story is political. You know, whatever it is, it's like that is saying something strong and something that's absent from the landscape, like you keep saying. So it's almost like us just being ourselves is doing the work more than we think.
Wow.
That's some really good words.
The chaotic energy in me wants to hit a button after that.
Do it. We still have more buttons.
Mi gente latino.
That was perfect.
Oh my God. Jennifer. That was a good one. Miss Jennifer.
Miss Jennifer. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. Love her.
That's so funny. But oh my God, that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Very good.
I tell you as I tell myself.
It was very profound.
Yes, and I think that would be a perfect place to wrap up the conversation on generation, unless you had anything else.
No, love it.
Awesome, cool. So in that case, for our listeners, if this is the first time you're tuning in to when we have a guest, we like to have our guests bring in a hand-me-down object as a little show and tell part of the episode where they talk a little bit about its lore, talk a little bit about its importance to you and stuff like that. So just like a little fun story time also to get to know you as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the segment of the hand-me-down.
Okay, I came prepared.
Yes.
And I brought This pilon.
Okay.
Dun, dun.
There we go.
That was given to me by my grandmother, and it has this prestigious place in my kitchen, and I just love it. And it reminds me of like her and all the food that I love that she cooks way better than me, and like obviously my, you know, just like my identity, my ancestry, like all of it like feels so like connected to this. And
is this what you use to make mofongo?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's like a mortar and pestle, you know. So you can use it for spices. Like it smells so much like garlic. It's just like a garlic balm in there. So like she would use it a lot for like garlic sauce and mofongo and stuff like that. So I use it more for prettiness than its intended use. But now that we've done this, I'm like, I should be using this more. But I'm that kind of like, because I'm sort of chaotic sometimes, like I don't trust myself to like use things that mean a lot to me, because I'm like cut to, it's like trashed and broken on the floor. Literally, like, so like I used to have like a cheap $10 one that I bought because I refused to use this one, you know? So
it's got all the flavor though.
You're right. And it is meant to be used. So maybe I need to like grow up and be brave and use this. But yeah, it just means, I don't know, like I've moved a lot. Like that was part of my like 20s and the chaotic starving artist of it all. And like never like had more than like what could fit in a suitcase for like most of my adult life. So I don't have like a ton of like heirloomy, like hand-me-down type things. So like from my family anyways. And I don't thrift. That was the other thing. When you guys sent me this, I was like, or when y'all sent me this, I was like, I feel so convicted that I don't have like more hand-me-down things. Like I was judging myself of like, be fucking green, Christina. Like you just want to buy everything new, like off of Amazon, you fucking capitalist freak.
I think that's part of like growing up though, is like, I feel like hand-me-downs are also like maybe a little bit more of a childhood thing where that is more common.
Yeah.
But it's good to see like a lot of people bring food.
Oh, really?
Like kitchen related items.
That is so funny.
And I think it's a testament to our culture.
It is.
Very like, I think it's a love language, is like cooking and like food and having all that. So it's great to see.
Totally.
No, definitely. Because it was, what did Selena bring?
The frijol smasher thing.
Oh my God. See, very similar. Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm the only one out here of my family. So I feel like I don't have a lot of like kitchen things, but I feel like if I go home and I'm like, are y'all using this? If not, can I take it?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Don't even tell them. Just like
and
pocket it. And then when your mom's like, where did that go?
Where did that really heavy tortilla press go? I'm like, she FaceTimes me and I'm
right. Out of frame. I don't know.
Oh gosh.
Funny.
So if my mom's watching this, I want the tortilla press, please.
My dad told me, he told me he was going to give me, he's like, when you get married, I'm going to give you our molcajete. And you're like, he has them already, like, he has 3 and he kind of rotates them. So he's like, your brother's going to get one. And like, he's like already flavoring all of them. And then you're going to get one. And we're just going to keep ours.
I love that.
love language.
That's so cool. Yeah.
I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, see? Well, thank you so much for sharing your
You're
journey
welcome.
now. That was so much fun. All right. And then, so we're just about getting ready to wrap up the episode.
Yes.
Did you want anything to add anything?
I don't know. I mean, I want to respect your time. I don't want to go over.
I don't know how long your episodes are, but
Usually
like an hour 15.
Okay.
Maybe just a couple of things just to pick your brain as someone who is working in this industry. Kind of, are you happy right now with the state of Latina representation in film and TV? And like, what is lacking and what are they getting right?
Yeah. I mean, imagine if I was like, yes, it's perfect. I'm obsessed with it.
Me and Alan are like,
Cool. Fade to black. No, obviously, right? It's like we all know and feel the like absence, right? And just like how desperate we are for more of our stories. And I have like, there's so many like theories as to like why and what's going on and why not. And but you can definitely say without a doubt that there's so much room for improvement and so much of us that just doesn't make it onto the screen just yet. But I am, again, a Sagittarius, so I always look at that as like such an opportunity and an exciting thing for people like us that are just kind of in this next wave, because we can see that from a different vantage point or a little more clearly than the generation behind. You know, we all have our different, you know, sort of battles and waves of progress we're responsible for. And I think we can so clearly see like the next steps that need to be taken and are just, I think not more, but just as sort of like excited and empowered and uncompromising in our like thirst for that and our quest for that, you know, and knowing that like X or Y, Z thing that maybe used to cut it like doesn't satisfy for us, and that we're gonna keep pushing for those intersectional, juicy, authentic, layered, complex stories that we know they exist and like that we deserve to see. And so
there we go.
yes, exactly. So yeah, I try again. I think I try not to go too macro too often, because I just get like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, right. Everything sucks. But when I do think about it, like obviously it's like really clear that we have so much work to do. I think being somebody that's like in the industry, it's like such an interesting disconnect, because I meet so many people that like we're having these conversations that wanting to tell these stories, that have some of these scripts, that have such interesting ideas. And I think a lot of the conversation is like, like how to bridge the gap of like between, because the talent is there, the ideas are there, the creative is there. And I don't fucking know, have the answers, obviously. No, I mean, not I was like, be running Hollywood, but yeah, I think the thing that we're getting right is just that we care, that we're invested in the conversation, that there are so many creatives out there like fighting that fight and like continuing to be honest about like what is connecting and what doesn't, and what's authentic and what's not. And like continuing to be brave about like defining that and redefining that, and understanding that everybody gets to have their own definition of that. I think that's a lot of the times where we get stuck, is being like, that's not true for me, so that can't be true for anyone. And it's like, right. I think we have a really hard time with that as a community. So it's like getting to like having the specificity of a single story, and trusting in getting to be like so specific about that, and not feeling the pressure to have to speak for anybody else, actually will make other people able to connect with it, you know, and see themselves in it, even though like it's a different nationality or ethnicity or area of the world or different sexuality or whatever it is, gender, like, so yeah, I think we're getting like the fact that we're talented and hot, right? And the fact that Hollywood needs to get it together, wrong. That's an out. Hollywood is out. Hot Latina people in.
Yeah. Let's hit this last one.
Wait, let it play. What happened?
Oh.
Why did it get scary?
That took a left turn.
No, I couldn't find the last chunk of it. So I just put the whole thing.
That's so funny. I thought we were gonna listen to Missy.
I was hyped. But that is what Hollywood does to you, right? They'd be like, "We're giving you a new show. You're gonna be on." Canceled.
And off every street of it.
I think it is interesting. I think like we were talking about how now there's kind of this new movement of like independent film or kind of like these new this new era. People are sick and tired of IPs and Marvel and there's just like superheroes that now and it's been like that throughout history. Like in what was it, like the 60s when people were starting to get tired of like certain types of movies and there's like this like new wave and like I feel like we're in that new wave and that's an opportunity for us to be like squeeze in.
100%.
This is where we're gonna fit in. This is when we have to like this is where we have to make our move.
100%.
Tell those stories.
Hot Latinos.
Yes, band together. I totally agree because it's like I think creatives are starting to understand like I don't know. Like there will always be gatekeepers. There will always be those systemic things to be up against. But I think we're starting to see also like the autonomy and the freedom in finding new paths and new ways and understanding how to maybe start to divest from some of those like bigger systems and powers that be to get, you know, your stuff out there. And I don't know. So I agree with you that it's a really exciting time, especially for independent film specifically. Like you're saying, the pendulum like always swings. Yeah. And that's the other thing to take comfort in is like when you're in this business long enough, it will keep swinging.
You're going to see it swing a couple of times.
Exactly. Many times. And you're going to have those ebbs and flows and times that what you really want to do is in vogue and you have a lot of wind at your back and everybody wants to make it. And then times that no one wants to hear what the hell you have to say. Yeah. And like, you can just take comfort in like, it's going to come back around. Yeah. And it's going to come back around and it's going to, and in the meantime, you can flirt with other things and, you know, so
beautiful.
There's a balance to it, but I agree with you. Movies are cool.
Yeah. Movies are cool. Latinos are hot. And
and with that, if you guys get anything out of this episode,
it's the deep wisdom.
Latinos are hot. And mi gente Latino.
Couldn't have said it better.
Exactly.
Thanks, J-Lo.
Thank you, J-Lo.
But I think with that, I think we're towards the end. We're wrapping it up.
We're wrapping up the episode. And so we do like to end our episodes with a Latino artist recommendation. Is that some? Did you go?
Yes, I thought about it.
Cool. Awesome.
I was saying I was stressed because I listen to like the same 5 songs over and over again usually. If it wasn't for Spotify, are you Spotify people?
I am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mi gente Latino.
Spotify Latino. No, mi gente Spotify.
Mi gente Spotify. I have the family plan, guys.
Yeah, fair. I mean, Spotify's awful. They don't pay their artists. I know it's bad. But they have some sick playlists. Like they really get to know you. And I feel like they just always recommend me like such great things. So through Spotify, thank you Spotify, I learned of this artist Sita and she's an independent Puerto Rican. Like it's a very vibey R&B type music. And I love her. And I've always I feel like music is a way for me to stay connected to Puerto Rico and like feel the culture of what's going on there now. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you've heard of an artist called Bad Bunny, but I feel like she's like in that legacy of like newer artists that are coming up behind him, and like that whole scene just is so rich. So
he opened the door
Sita.
and everybody's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, check her out, Sita.
Nice.
I really like her.
Definitely will.
Awesome. Cool. Well, with that being said, Christina, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast episode. I love the conversations we had today.
Great conversation.
And I'm super excited for what the future awaits. And with that being said, where can our listeners find you?
You can find me at the corner of Santa Monica. You can find me, I guess, on Instagram. Although I have an app right now that is blocking me from Instagram because I'm on it too much and I have a doom scrolling problem. But you can find me there. Miss Nina Nieves is my handle.
Put it down in the description.
I think that's it. Just like find me in the street.
Real. And then any future projects that they should be looking out for?
Nothing that I think I can talk about other than the project of trying to get my spouse to agree to a third cat. We're all looking forward to that.
Sign the petition down below.
Sign the petition. Drop a
I have
comment
a
down
moveon.org.
We'll start the movement right now. Drop a comment.
Just like, development and just looking for the next thing now that the strike is over, and making my own films, and I'm out here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Alrighty. So with that being said, it was so much fun. Thank you
for having me.
And thank you everybody that tuned in listening. And then be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. What else do we have?
Yeah.
That's it.
All that cool stuff. See you guys next week. Thank you for hopping on. Bye.
Bye.
The Hand Me Down podcast is produced and hosted by Natalia Delgado and Alan Gallardo. This episode was edited by Alan Gallardo, and the social media clips are edited by Natalia Delgado. And I'm the associate producer, Milena Ortega. We'll see you next week.